I was sitting there trying to warn young girls to stay away from men, from older men, because this happens. And this is the point of it all for me, right here.
All right, so imagine this. You're in a relationship with someone everyone thinks is perfect. He's got the looks, the fame, and that charming smile. But behind the scenes, it's a totally different story. What if I told you that Brianna LaPaglia, aka Brianna Chickenfry, has just dropped some shocking truths about her ex, Zach Bryan? Yeah, the guy we all thought was this sweet country music heartthrob. Well, buckle up because we're about to dive into some serious tea that no one saw coming. This goes way beyond just a breakup. It's about secrets, warnings, and a side of Zach Bryan that Brianna says is straight up dark. So let's rewind a bit. Days after appearing on the BFFs podcast, Brianna came back to clarify some big things about her relationship with Zach Bryan. Now, if you're not in the loop, Brianna had already opened up on the podcast about what she described as narcissistic emotional abuse during her year-long relationship with Zach. And trust me, the details she shared left everyone stunned. But, as always, there's more to the story. In a TikTok she posted on November 9th, Brianna didn't just talk about what went down. She wanted to set the record straight. She said she wasn't here to take money, expose anyone for views, or gain some kind of revenge. Nope. According to her, it was all about warning young girls out there about the red flags she saw too late. Now let me break down exactly what she shared. And oh, it's intense. Brianna described her time with Zach as feeling like she was trapped, where everything was flipped to make her feel like she was the one at fault. You know that feeling when someone's constantly making you doubt yourself? Well, that's exactly what Brianna said was happening. She even mentioned how he isolated her, wouldn't let her be herself, and basically broke her down piece by piece. Sounds like a nightmare, right? And get this, people actually came at her after the podcast, saying, "Well, you should have known. Didn't his song lyrics give it all away? Like, can you believe that?" Some fans think because he writes about heartbreak and raw emotions, that means he's transparent. But Brianna clapped back hard. She said, "I'm sorry, where's the lyric about emotionally abusing women? I didn't catch that one. Yikes." The shade, though. So why did Brianna go on the podcast in the first place? It wasn't just to air dirty laundry. She explained that this was a cautionary tale. According to Brianna, she wanted to warn young girls about how easy it is to get trapped in a situation where you lose yourself for someone else. She didn't even want money for sharing her story, even though people speculated she might have been paid for it. She's like, "Do you really think I'd take money to talk about my personal trauma?" And that's a solid point. But here's where it gets even juicier. When Zach Bryan announced their breakup on his Instagram, he kept it vague. He wrote about them going separate ways and made it seem like it was just a mutual decision. He even asked for privacy for both of them. Now imagine reading that post if you're Brianna, knowing what went on behind the scenes. But what really hit home was when she described how she was made to feel isolated, like Zach was her whole world, and how he would twist everything around, leaving her feeling like the bad guy. And guess what? Right after the podcast dropped, people from all over flooded her social media with comments, saying they could totally relate. Some even called it a universal experience for women. That's how real her story was for a lot of people. And honestly, it's kind of heartbreaking that so many women felt that pain. Now, there's one thing Brianna wanted to make super clear. She said she didn't regret speaking out. And she definitely didn't take it lightly. She knew she'd be putting herself under a massive spotlight, especially with Zach's fan base who, let's be real, might not take too kindly to hearing their idol isn't as perfect as he seems. But Brianna stood her ground. She said if it meant even one person avoided the kind of pain she went through, it was worth it. Zach, on the other hand, hasn't made a single public statement responding to Brianna's claims. Radio silence. And that's only fueled the mystery around him. So far, he's only said a generic apology on Instagram about failing people he loved without any direct mention of Brianna's allegations. So what do we make of all this? Well, it's a reminder that relationships, especially with public figures, can look perfect on the outside but be completely the opposite in reality. Brianna's message here is loud and clear. Don't be fooled by appearances, don't ignore the red flags, and above all, don't lose yourself in the process. And there you have it, folks. This isn't just another breakup story. It's a wake-up call. Whether you're a fan of Brianna, Zach, or neither, her story speaks to something a lot of people have gone through but don't always talk about. So if you've ever been in a situation like this, remember, your story matters, and you're not alone.